of the biggest scams in U.S. history involved conning people into believing that their money was being invested as they intended. There is a new deception today that involves a slick marketing campaign by the Humane Society of the United States. And again, it has outraged people that their money is not being used as they intended. HSUS gives less than 1% of its massive donations to local pet shelters, but has socked away more than $17 million in its own pension fund. It gets worse. Wayne and his organization are now spending your donations for their defense in federal court over a racketeering lawsuit. If you want your money to support Wayne and his pension, well-paid lawyers and lobbyists continue to give to the Humane Society of the United States. If you want your money to go to pet shelters, you must give directly to your local shelter. For more information, go to humanewatch.org.
Excellent intro. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Puh! Kick it between the goal lines. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take this show in a direction to show you what is so horrible about what's going on in other countries with animals being poached and killed in the wild. And then we're going to take and put the kinder side of life of a kangaroo wearing overalls, okay? Living in a house that never has to look for a meal or a vet or a monkey, you know. I had the cutest damn picture today on Facebook. And when I get done with this new direction of where I'm taking this show, I think it will be a smash hit, okay? Because I'm going to show videos of, like, you know, where they beat the monkeys in the head on a table to eat their brains, okay? And then I'm going to show this side. And once we show this side of lawmakers, of what the hell is wrong with having a monkey living on a pool with a goddamn margarita, okay, wearing a pink bathing suit, I think we just might get our message across, okay? So, tonight is going to be episode 1, okay, of Save the Bears. What's going on around the park? Mr. President, he finally got out of bed today. You actually went and picked up something today. Let's show the people. This is precious. Okay, you know, last night we were showing you that video, and I told you that I couldn't say no ever. Well, I didn't say no again today. Look here. These are brown. And look at that. Little baby brown bears. We just took these in today, ladies and gentlemen. And these are going to be the start of tonight's show, episode 1. Save the Bears, okay? Look, we just brought in 4 more bears, okay, that needed a home. They came from Yellowstone. Yes. Oh, what, sugar? Her's been screaming, okay? Looky there. All right, all the way from Yellowstone, ladies and gentlemen. They needed to place these 4 bears. They called us. Joe said, yes, again. Here, you can take that one. What pumpkin butt? She is hoarse from screaming. Okay, but anyway, this is what we do. You know, we keep taking them and keep taking them and keep taking them. We never say no. So now we got to build a bigger bear cage. But unfortunately, right now they are going to sleep in Ricky's room. So now Mama Roo has to feed 6 bears. Okay. She's really proud of me for accepting 4 more bears. But anyway, this is going to lead us into how I am going to try and turn the tables on the animal rights people and the lawmakers, okay? And the idea behind this show for the next 3 days is to see and use it as a test to show, okay? And the more thousands of people we get to watch this show every night, the more lawmakers will tune in, the more legislatures will tune in, and they're going to see the rescue and the loving side versus the wild and the industrial side of animals, okay? So, I want to warn you, this is extremely graphic. It's going to upset a few of you, but it is real facts of what is happening to our bears in China. Ladies and gentlemen, sit back and watch this video.
Well, bear farming for me started way back in 1993 when I walked onto a bear farm for the first time in my life in southern China and was absolutely reeling in shock with what I saw. Moon bears in tiny wire cages in a dungeon of a farm and vocalising with very nervous popping sounds every time I walked closely to the cages because they obviously thought that I was meaning them harm and going to take their bile as the farmers had been doing every day for decades. At one point, I must have backed into a cage and a female bear put her paw through the bars of the cage and touched my shoulder. I turned around in shock, her paw was there, and it seemed the most natural thing in the world to take it, which I did, and she didn't hurt me at all, which she had every right to do. She just squeezed my fingers very rhythmically, and I have always said to children, you know, a message passed between us, and although I've never seen that bear again, she started the dream of the China Bear Rescue. This is our education room where people come to be informed about the reality of bear farming. So we talk about the bear bile that can easily and cheaply be replaced by herbs and synthetics and introduce the doctors that we're working with here in China. We talk about the products that we see being sold containing bear bile, whether it's eye drops that are routinely used within traditional Chinese medicine containing bear bile. And then, believe it or not, we had the toothpaste, which is also used for mouth ulcers and dental pain. And last but not least, the bear bile wine, which if anyone's in any doubt where it came from. We signed an agreement with the Chinese government in October 2000 to rescue 500 bears, and since then the floodgates opened and these bears have been rolling in through the doors of Animals Asia, where we prioritise them for basic health checks followed by surgery. But in that time we can keep them quite comfortably even in their tiny wire cages, because for the first time we give them free access to food and water. We put straw on top of their cages and we provide toys to play with. Then we go on to cutting them out of the cages and providing health checks, taking blood, seeing the sort of injuries that they have, which would fill a catalogue of a horror story, and then go on to doing the major abdominal surgery that every single bear needs, the gallbladders removed, the paw tips perhaps tidied up where the bears have literally had their paw tips cut away by the farmers, and of course all the dental problems. Either the bears have shattered their own teeth from repetitive bar biting through years of stereotypic and cage-crazy behaviour, or the bear farmers have actually chopped them back to gum level. And finally, if we can get them through all of this, then we've got them in their recovery cages where our fantastic nurses are giving them medication every day. And sadly, as I say, we do lose some of them. Little mouse here that died eventually of cancer, where we bury them in our graves, where every single bear has a name and has the respect he never had on the farm. And this is the final part of the education room where we show free and happy bears and try to engage the public with, you know, how simply and efficiently we can really create a new and happy life for these guys. Whether it's toys that have been donated or bear-sized ice lollies stuffed full of fruits and nuts, giving them swimming pools to play in, whole coconuts. These bears need to be active and busy their whole lives. Hello, sweetheart. Well, that was the very dark and dingy but very necessary education room done, and now we're on to see some fabulous things with bears having a great time in the enclosures. Come here, Starving. Okay. And this is one of our rescued dogs, Starving Dog. Not a very nice name, but it reflects her very tragic past where we found her literally starving to death. And here on my right is the rehab centre, which is probably the darkest enclosure that we have on site, but it's for new bears that have recently been in their crush cages. They've received the surgery, and so these dark and dingy dens are actually wonderful for these bears because it gives them that sort of comfort of being able to go back inside to a rather sombre environment. This is the place where they learn how to be bears. They start being very slowly introduced with other members of their own species. They start to be integrated together in socialised groups. They learn how to forage, they learn how to play, they learn how to protect and defend themselves. They learn pretty much all there is to learn about being an ursine species. We're now going to carry on with the tour around 25 acres of beautiful sanctuary with 14 enclosures housing bouncing happy bears. We've rescued 276, so we've got 177 alive today. On my right are what we call our polytunnels, where the bears are in quarantine for 45 days before they're considered free of infection and able to then start perhaps being integrated with the other bears following their surgery and their dentals and everything else they need to repair their broken bodies as a result of their treatment on the farms. On my left here we have our special care area where bears like our brain damaged, beautiful big buff of a bear Rupert has been here for about the past 10 years. And coming up on my right, one of the actual cages where bears like Rupert have been freed from after maybe 10, 20 years of their life. And here on my left we have our brand new hospital, which has bear preparation rooms, has clinics, has surgeries, has a small animal room, a laboratory, and then at the top we have rooms for our staff to make sure that the bears are safe and sound down below. And onto our beautiful herb garden where we grow the 54 different herbal alternatives to bear bile. Remember what we said before, that no one is going to die for the lack of bear bile, especially so that we grow these green and luscious plants here on site. And our garden of hope and sorrow, where we pay tribute as a family to the bears that we have loved and lost along the way during the past 10 years. It is a time of remembering animals that really either had a few years with us or actually had no time at all, but especially celebrating bears like Andrew, who died unfortunately in 2006. Andrew was one of the peacemakers. He was such a handsome, forgiving bear that we used to call him the Brad Pitt of the bear world, and we miss him more than I can ever say. And just walking along the facility now, you know, we're passing gorgeous dens that have been kindly sponsored by so many people around the world, but sometimes it's the more practical things that we need help with, like this sludgy old road that we've had to stand for about 10 years and is really falling apart and causing our workers a lot of stress and dirt as they go about their daily work. So there's that, and there's even keeping bears like Benji happy and healthy for his 30-year lifespan. You know, on a practical level, bears like that need to be reassured that they are going to be cared for and cherished for the rest of their lives. And into our brown bear enclosure, where we've got 2 Tibetan brown bears there, and we've got the mighty Caesar on my right. We didn't anticipate actually having to build separate enclosures for brown bears. They are humongously expensive, but you know, you can see her all 280 kilograms of pure muscle, and she doesn't get on with other black bears, so we've had to find the funding somewhere to build her very own home. This is houses 2 and 3, where house 2 here, right in front of us, has 21 bears, and house 3 just behind it has 14. This is what we call a double bear house, and it's full of bears that actually have been with us for a long, long time, since about October 2000, including, of course, my very favourite, the glorious Jasper. And in this house we've got Banjo and Woodley and Clancy Jack and a whole array of bears just out there in the sunshine today, having a brilliant time. And this is just an incredible part of this enclosure, just to be able to be up here and look at the bears down into the enclosure below. Every 10 days there's a 20 different rotation of enrichment here, just to simply keep these bears busy and happy all day long, to keep their intelligent minds stimulated, encouraging them to forage, and that prevents dominant behaviour as well. You can see Ozzy over there having a fantastic time with one of his toys, which won't actually be there again tomorrow. So they come out of their dens, they cannot expect anything in each and every enclosure. Every day is novel and a mystery to each and every one. We are so incredibly lucky to have the support of individuals and groups all around the world, and as a point in fact, right behind me we have House 3 that has been so generously supported by our Australian support groups. So this house is a beautiful house that we call the River House, and it has perhaps our more geriatric bears that we more rudely call the old duffers. And we have Nick and Jürgen and Crystal enjoying their life in the great outdoors. And right next to the River House we have here our bamboo house, and this particular enclosure here holds our gorgeous tatty old bear called Asia. She has chronic skin problems every year around this time, which is seasonal, but you know, she potters around, she enjoys her life outside in this enclosure, and we have a responsibility and a duty of care until the end of her days. This is our cemetery where the bears that we have loved and lost have been laid to rest. Of course, I'm standing in front of one of our most iconic bears' graves, our lovely Andrew, or Andalou, as our Chinese workers call him, because they couldn't pronounce the name Andrew properly, and in fact it was a name that stuck with us all, and he became our beloved Andalou. And his inscription, I always think, is so moving. It says, "We're not weaker without you, but stronger because of you," and we are. And every single one of these bears has not died in vain, because all of them have died as a result of this horrendous bear farming practice. Over here we've got a grave belonging to our beautiful old Francie, who was in a crush cage for 25 years of her life before we finally rescued her. She was a bear that, again, we have a real affection for, because she just ruled us. She absolutely trained us, I think, rather more than we trained her. She adored packet dog food. She hated bananas and spat them out. And I always think of the lines of our poem when we lay these bears to rest in these east meets west graves, where they're shaped like a pyramid in the Chinese style, and they have western crosses. And the lines of the poem, very, very simply, are, "Please look upon the others and give them promise of hope soon, and tell them to be patient and proudly wear the moon." Our cage graveyard, where so many of these cages end up as coffins for thousands and thousands of victims across this country of the bear farming industry. Cages that have crushed these bears in both body and spirit before they end their lives. This is house 6, where so many of the resident bears here have limbs missing, like Harvey from being caught illegally in the wild in leg hold traps. Prince, just behind, has smashed virtually every single one of his teeth out of his head from when he was a cub on the farms, literally being cage crazy. And others also missing limbs, some are missing eyes. This is a place where we promise to keep these animals for the rest of their natural lives. And when you consider these two guys, Prince and Harvey, are aged around 10 years of age, we've probably got another 20 years to factor in. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where your funding is so profoundly important to the team of Animals Asia. Caring for these bears, managing them, enabling them to trust the same species that caused them so much pain in their previous lives on the farms. And now our duty of care, our promise to them for the rest of their lives. Manners? We've come to the end of the tour, and I hope you've enjoyed our little place of peace and freedom here in Chengdu, and I hope too that you acknowledge how much your faith and your support and funding means to every single one of us. Thank you for being everything to the bears and the team of Animals Asia, and I hope we see you here one day very, very soon. Asiatic black bears are strong, majestic creatures, but so gentle in spirit. They're playful and humorous, and solitary in nature. Found in mountainous regions such as China, Vietnam and Laos, they're also known as moon bears because of this large lemony crescent-shaped moon on their chests. Sadly, these beautiful creatures are highly endangered and suffer a dire fate at the hands of humans. Across Asia, an estimated 14,000 moon bears are being held in captivity on farms and milked for their bile because it's believed to be a health tonic in the practice of traditional Asian medicine. Kept in cages like this, they're starved and dehydrated, They're drugged, restrained, and have their abdomens jabbed with unsterilised 4-inch needles until their gallbladders are punctured to release their bile. Others are milked through open, infected abdominal wounds or rusty catheters. And they're pumped full of antibiotics and other drugs just to keep them alive. Most of them develop massive infections, multiple diseases, and malignant tumours that ultimately kill them. They're often suffering from wounds to their snouts, their teeth are worn away or are shattered from biting at the cage bars, and their feet are cracked and rotting, having never felt the earth beneath them. Many have paws or even whole limbs missing from having been trapped in the wild, using heavy, spring-loaded steel traps that crush and shatter their bones. The worst part about this appalling trade, this disgusting industry, is that bear bile is completely unnecessary. There are over 54 different herbal alternatives and man-made synthetics which take its place. No one is going to die for the lack of bear bile. The bears we rescue from farms are sick and suffer from a litany of ailments. Over 35% have succumbed to liver tumours, and in some cases they're weighing over 7 kilograms in weight. Our sanctuaries in China and Vietnam give the bears that do make it a chance at living their lives free from fear, pain and suffering. They've lost, and in many cases never had, their natural survival skills, so they can never be reintroduced to the wild. But at least they're able to live out their lives in the safety and security of our enclosures. But we still have a long, long way to go, and Animals Asia will never give up until the very last bear farm is closed and as many bears as possible in China and Vietnam wake up each morning with the sun on their backs and without fear in their hearts.
And ladies and gentlemen, so help us save the bears in China, okay? This is going to be a madness series, okay, to show you the truth of what's going on out there, and then people have a problem with us loving animals. So, after you watch that, sit back and watch this.
Look into my eyes.